Your team is losing. There are 4 minutes left. Your hands are clenched into fists you didn't decide to make. Your heart is pounding like you're the one being chased. You are sitting on a couch. Nothing is chasing you. And yet, every system in your body is acting like your life is on the line. Here's the strange part. The real reason for that feeling has almost nothing to do with football. You already know the surface explanation. You care about your country. You care about the badge on the shirt. But that explanation falls apart the moment you ask a simple question. Why would your body treat a ball crossing a line the same way it treats real danger? Why does losing a game make grown adults cry in the street? The honest answer is older than any nation, any flag, any stadium. It's older than football itself. Your brain isn't watching a game. It's running a program that was built for war. Start with what your body actually does during a match. Heart rate climbs, muscles tense, attention narrows until the rest of the world disappears and only the pitch remains. This is not a metaphor. This is your sympathetic nervous system, the same ancient circuitry that prepares a body to fight or to flee, switching on exactly as it would before a real confrontation. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a striker running at the goal and a rival approaching your camp. It just sees a threat closing in on something that belongs to your side. Why would evolution build something so extreme for a sport that didn't exist until the 1800s? Because the sport is new. The wiring underneath it is not. For nearly all of human history, there was no such thing as a friendly contest with no real stakes. Anthropologists studying small-scale societies have found that almost every form of group competition among early humans, from territorial disputes to raids between neighboring bands, carried genuine danger. Status was not symbolic. Losing could mean losing access to land, to resources, sometimes to survival itself. The psychologists John Tooby and Leda Cosmides, who pioneered the study of what they call coalitional psychology, argue that the human mind evolved specific machinery just for this problem, instantly sorting people into us and them, and instantly preparing the body to support us in conflict. That machinery didn't disappear when the conflicts became less deadly. It just kept running, looking for the next coalition to defend. Your brain didn't get an update when football was invented. It just plugged the new game into old hardware. You can see how easily that hardware switches on in one of the most famous experiments in social psychology. In the 1970s, the researcher Henri Tajfel ran what became known as the minimal group studies. He took ordinary people, split them into groups using something as meaningless as a coin flip, and gave each group an arbitrary label. No history, no real difference between them. Within minutes, people were favoring their own randomly assigned group and treating the other group worse, even when it cost them personally to do it. There was no real rivalry. There was no real stake. The brain built one anyway, because building us versus them turned out to be one of the fastest, most automatic things a human mind can do. Now imagine what that same machinery does with an entire nation's colors, a national anthem, and decades of history layered on top of a label. It isn't subtle anymore. It's enormous. This is where the war comparison stops being a figure of speech. The neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky has spent decades studying how status, threat, and group identity move through the brain and body in both primates and humans. His research keeps landing on the same uncomfortable point. The boundary between friendly competition and intergroup conflict is much thinner inside the brain than it is on paper. The same stress hormones that prepare an animal to defend its troop against a rival group are the ones flooding your bloodstream when a rival team attacks your goal. Your body isn't pretending this is serious. As far as your nervous system is concerned, it already is. That's why the rituals around a World Cup look so much like the rituals around war once you notice them. Painting your face in your team's colors, wearing the same shirt as thousands of strangers, chanting in unison until individual voices disappear into one sound. Every one of those behaviors has an ancestral twin in the way human groups have prepared for conflict for tens of thousands of years, marking the body, synchronizing movement and sound, dissolving the individual into the coalition. You are not doing something new in that stadium or on that couch. You are running a script your ancestors wrote long before anyone agreed on the rules of a ball game. Nowhere is this more obvious than the penalty shootout. 12 yards, one ball, one person standing between your coalition and elimination. Notice what your body does in those few seconds before the kick. You can't look away, but you almost can't look either. That isn't drama for the sake of it. A shootout strips the game down to the single thing your ancient threat system actually tracks. Is the outcome about to be us or them? There's no possession, no buildup, no nuance left to distract the brain from the one variable it has always cared about. That's why a shootout can feel more unbearable than 90 minutes of normal play combined. And losing carries its own physiology, one that looks less like disappointment and more like grief. The sports psychologist Daniel Wann, who has spent much of his career studying why people identify so strongly with teams, has found that highly identified fans often experience a real drop in mood and self-esteem after a loss, not because of the score itself, but because the loss registers as a blow to their own social standing. Your brain doesn't file "my team lost" as a fact about 11 strangers on a field. It files it as "my coalition was defeated," and a defeated coalition, for most of human history, meant a defeated you. Here's the twist that makes this even stranger. This ancient war machinery isn't malfunctioning when it activates during a match. It's working exactly as designed. The system was never built to distinguish between a real threat to my group and a symbolic threat to my group. It was only ever built to ask one question: is this us or is this them? Once the answer is them, the rest follows automatically, whether them is a rival tribe with spears or a rival nation with a better midfield. So why does it feel so good, even when it's terrifying? Because for your ancestors, surviving a real conflict alongside your group was one of the most bonding experiences a human being could have. The same surge of adrenaline that makes a missed chance feel devastating is the surge that makes a last-minute goal feel like the best moment of your year. Your brain attached enormous reward to us winning against them because for most of human history, that outcome quite literally kept people alive. You're not malfunctioning when a goal makes you scream and grab a stranger next to you. You're feeling exactly what kept your ancestors' coalitions intact. Which brings the real question back to where it started, just inverted. It isn't strange that a game can make your body feel like it's at war. It would be strange if it didn't. The wiring that built you spent millions of years being shaped by real group conflict, and it never got the memo that most of those conflicts have ended. Every tournament just gives that ancient system something familiar to grab onto. So tonight, when the next match kicks off and your shoulders tense before a single pass is even made, you'll know what's actually happening underneath it. You're not just watching a game. Somewhere in the oldest part of your brain, the one built long before nations or stadiums or flags, the war never really stopped. It just found a new battlefield. 90 minutes long with a final whistle that this time nobody has to die to hear.